Our expert today is Nico Bernie Miller, CEO and Chief Creative of Change3, a leading B2B marketing and growth agency. In today's event, Nico will discuss how to build targeted B2B audiences and then engage them on various platforms like Facebook using new marketing technology. Now, what we like to do in these events is lead with questions, provide some industry statistics, and then our expert, Nico, will respond. So our first question today is Facebook an appropriate place to engage about business topics? We all certainly know about Facebook for friends and family and personal, but is it a place to engage about business topics? Let's see what we see here. Oops. Of course, the answer is yes. Excuse me. With nearly 3/4 of all adults in the US are on Facebook, so your target business audience is also on Facebook. Nico, please step in.
Yes.
Let us know what you feel about this.
Please do. Yeah, so once you build the next slide, so basically, according to a ton of research from Facebook itself and others, it's like almost 3/4 of all adults in the United States are on Facebook and they use it regularly. And so that means if you're trying to target IT people or business professionals, and definitely if you're trying to target small businesses, they're on Facebook, they're using it, they're either using it for business in terms of like advertising in the case of small business owners, but your typical technology or your typical business professionals, most of them, truly most of them are on Facebook. The question is, how do you engage them? So let's look at some of the data. So if you build the next slide, when we think about reaching small customers or small businesses, loads of research as well. For those that are using social media, almost 90% of those say that Facebook is their preferred platform for like marketing. And then they follow that up by LinkedIn, Twitter, and Google Plus. So that's this data is a little bit older. If we keep going, there's some other statistics about, how small business owners and professionals are using data. So if you want to go to the next image, Jake, most small business owners find it really valuable to be on Facebook, and same thing for business people. I think we've all, as users of Facebook, have experienced there's incredible ad tools, a variety of ad units. A lot of them are powered by AI, so you can, see your ad be optimized in terms of the headline, the descriptions, the body copy, the image, the video, everything. Facebook is some of the most sophisticated advertising tools of any of the social networks. So you might be scratching your head going, well, why are we even having this conversation? The reason why we're having this conversation is because, we work with technology companies and companies that sell to businesses. And almost inevitably, every single one, when I talk to them about their marketing strategy, particularly their digital marketing strategy, Facebook is not part of their mix. They definitely love LinkedIn. They use email, they use Google ads, and those sorts of things. They do events, they go to trade shows, but they do not generally, in most cases, incorporate Facebook into their marketing mix. And so my point to everyone is that you should. Facebook has some of the best digital ad economics out there for any platform, better than TikTok, better than everything, because half of the world's population, for the most part, is on Facebook. I think it's over 3 billion Facebook users, and that's with them booting people out, right? So, it's just a little bit under half of the world's population on Facebook. So your future business customers are definitely, most certainly on Facebook. The question is, how do you talk to them? So, that's the insight that I share with the BeTechly team is, of course, you don't want to come on Facebook and have that same kind of conversation that you try to have at a trade show or even on LinkedIn or in certain different other scenarios. Facebook is an environment where people are more relaxed and they are exploring. Loads of research shows that people often go to Facebook and other social platforms to search for things, searching for new products, search for information. And so it's the same kind of searching that we saw for Google, 20 years ago. People are starting to do that in social media because they're not only getting the same things that you find on Google, but they're finding other bits that live in social media. So back to my first question, which is most of our clients don't think that Facebook is appropriate for them. And what we found in our research is that it is. So Jake, if you want to load the next slide, there's a ton of data out there, loads of
Mhm.
studies. If you want to load the next image, sorry, Jake. Yeah.
Sure,
And there's a
that's right.
ton of stats out there. Go check it out. In case if you're like Nico, you're full of full of little ducklings. Oh wait, no, go back, Jake. I just
Oh,
want to wrap
sorry.
up on that
Yeah,
last point
sure.
is loads of people are on Facebook. There's a lot of data out there. Go check it out. And I would love to talk to you if you don't agree with me, right? But I would say that every business that's marketing to business people should discover how to incorporate Facebook into your mix. Now, I get it, if you're not active on Facebook right now, you don't have a company page, those sorts of things, then you might think, well, this is too big of a step for me to take. But you can always, take baby
Mhm.
steps and explore how Facebook ads in particular can, play a role in your marketing mix. And like I said, the economics on Facebook are phenomenal. It's literally a fraction of the cost of advertising on LinkedIn, for example. So if you've got ad dollars that you're using on LinkedIn, you can actually extend those dollars. If you add just a fraction of the spend onto Facebook, you reach the same amount or even more people. And then you start to think about other, consumer oriented social networks like Twitter or X, I think is what it's called, or Instagram or TikTok or what have you. There's some tools out there that would allow you and some methods that would allow you to reach your specific audience. And I'm not talking about like, gross targeting, which is what people are used to for Facebook. I'm talking about building a specific audience of business people. And that's what I'll talk about a little bit later in today's discussion. So, okay, so
Okay.
now we go to the next,
All
the
right.
next
Thank you,
point.
Nico. Yes. And as you see here, 3 billion people on Facebook. Oof. Very
Yeah.
large audience, I'll say. Oops. All right. So our next question is, how will my business topics compare to non-business topics on Facebook? I think, Nico, you hinted at this as well. Um,
Yeah.
and about the vibe of today's culture rising and sort
Yeah.
of aspirations. So, Nico, you'd like to weigh in on this?
Yeah. Absolutely. So, obviously, as one of the most sophisticated app platforms out there, Facebook does a ton of research. They provide a lot of insight. Um, and so in their latest big study that they did last year, they surveyed like 21,000 people in 7 different countries, obviously a lot of Western nations like the United States or Canada. And in that report, it talked about, what are those things that really capture hearts and attention on Facebook? And the third ranked thing, so the first couple were, very personal. The third ranked thing, Jake, if you go to the next one, is what they call assertive aspirations. And so that this category of assertive aspirations is all about, hopes and dreams. It's about meaningful work. Money matters, all of that is what's related to work. So to answer the question, how will my business topics compare to non-business topics? They're going to compare amazingly, particularly if you really focus on transition, creating messaging and creative that's appropriate for Facebook that grab attention and capture hearts by making your solutions, your business focused solutions, really around aspirations. So I'll give you an example. Like I said, we work with a lot of tech companies. And so a lot of times people find technology to not be particularly exciting, whether it's you know, um, uh, flash systems or chassis mounted, 1U rack mounted server or, cloud, storage or something like that. Those things don't seem like they're particularly personal or aspirational, but in fact, they are. They can be for those people who use those systems or who aren't using them and could be using them to get the benefits that those solutions offer, like, improving your security or saving you time or making your job easier, giving you the visibility you need so that you can, better utilize your resources or optimize your budgets. There's 1,000 aspirations in how we sell business solutions, right? Particularly business technology, which is, I would argue, almost always aspirational. there's 1,000 aspirations that could be teased out and carefully communicated on a platform like Facebook in an appropriate way that will drive interest and drive people into it. But the most important part is that you're not going to be speaking, and I'm not proposing that you go and speak to everyone about those particular aspirations. The most important part is, how do you target your specific audience, not just people, young people or older people, and that's pretty much what the last 20 years have shown me, is that people try to use Facebook, but they struggle with targeting the right people. And though Facebook has added things where, people could put in their title or their job, or those sorts of things, it's not particularly accurate or up to date. And it's also very hard to, build a meaningful audience using those sorts of tools. But now there's some tech out there. There's some marketing tech that will allow you to do that. And so I think that's what I'm going to talk about next is, well, how do you do it? Okay, all right, I've sold you. You're like, okay, Nico, I agree. I would love to be able to present my offerings on Facebook and start conversations on Facebook, promote my events on Facebook, share my thought leadership on Facebook, right? I do want to do that, but I really don't want to share it to a load of students or young people or people who don't have jobs or whatever, right? Because that's not my audience. So how can I ensure that when I'm communicating via Facebook or other platforms like it, that I'm only communicating with my audience? And so that's what I'm going to talk about next.
Okay. Thank you, Nico. All right. And here we go as our third question, as a segue, as you hinted at. What is that best way to build my business audiences for Facebook?
Super. So if you load the next slide, there's some tech
Sure.
out there that will allow people to do it. Yeah, or not the next slide. I keep saying that, the image.
Image. Yeah, no
So this is
worries.
kind of a schematic. There's loads of these schematics out there, but I thought this one was the BeTechly team did a great job of picking that one. And I thought it was very descriptive. So basically, if you have a database of contacts, like, I know a lot of our tech marketers use email marketing, but email marketing over the last 2 or 3 years has become increasingly difficult, especially if you're trying to market to a fairly large audience, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 people. And a lot of our tech clients, but a lot of our B2B clients, you've got a big universe that you could be talking to. And so you might be thinking, oh, I could just send them emails. I can buy data from like Zoom Info or, Mountaintop Data or whomever, Outward Media, where you might be buying data. But you might not know yet that it can be very difficult to really get a great yield off of that. Loads of companies have filters, what they call spam filters. Not that your communication is spam, but they might perceive your unsolicited email as spam, and so your deliverability could go way down. And so it really does take a lot of technology and a lot of proprietary list management and outbound management. There's a bunch of things that are necessary to ensure you have a good deliverability rate, that you have no issues with regard to blacklisting or spam lists or anything like that. And so that's why agencies like ours, that's something we offer to our clients, because this is what we do every day. And it's a whole process. So you might be discovering that your results from email are going down. And the reason for that is because companies are getting better at, basically filtering out the messages that they consider to not be pertinent to their business. And that doesn't mean that your message isn't pertinent, but the company might determine that because, they don't know you yet. So marketers are trying to figure out, well, how can we use a channel like Facebook to become better known? And as a result, get better deliverability, better acceptance of my other digital platforms. So how it works is, if you've got an audience in email, for example, you can load that into Facebook, and Facebook will match those to Facebook users. Now, that's the old way. And people still do that. A lot of times what they do is, once they've matched some of those people to profiles on Facebook, then they create what they call a lookalike audience. And for B2B advertisers, I would not recommend that, because the way that Facebook would match lookalikes for your audience is not going to be based on their job or their responsibility or what kind of technology their company uses or anything like that. So that's not going to be helpful for you. And if you've tried that and you're like, oh, I tried that and that didn't work, it didn't. Yes, I agree that won't work for you by itself. But the premise is that you would actually build an audience. And if we go to the next image, Jake, there's some tech out there that will allow you to build a better audience. So that's the promise of matching your exact target audience on Facebook exists. And there's been technology developed in the last few years and really in the last couple that have made it way much better, much more accurate. You may have heard about it. A lot of you as marketers might have heard about what they talk about, the identity graph, or the graph. And so what they do is they map email databases to LinkedIn profiles and Facebook profiles, Twitter profiles, company pages, things like that. And so that graph of who belongs where is really important. And now there's some tools out there that you can use to match that to, users in different social networks. So we use marketing from ZoomInfo, and we find that to be a very effective tool for us. There are others, though, like Demandbase. I think that's been around the longest. There's 6sense. There's 5x5. There's a bunch of really great third-party audience providers that have, filled this gap, which is the connecting of the email data to the social platforms, the social profiles. And some of them have claimed that, 94% of all IP devices and addresses they've matched, to users in their database. And so that means you could match those people to, users on Facebook, for example. Now, there's a little bit of science and a little bit of magic to really getting your match rate to the level that you might want it. But right now, what we recommend is that this becomes part of your mix, right? Your toolkit. So you'll reach some of your market through email. You'll reach some of those people, you have a concentric circle. Some of those people you'll get email and ads. Others won't get the email, but they will get the ad. And, others will only get the ad, So it just gives you more options to reach more of your market. So you go about by creating a custom audience. Jake, if you can go to the next image. The match rate isn't yet 100%. So, each platform varies. It depends on your audience, who you're targeting, their likelihood to be on Facebook, but the match rate is getting better. So on LinkedIn, obviously, because you can already target people on LinkedIn, the match rate is extremely high. On Facebook, it varies, 20%, 80%, it really would depend on how big your segment is and who's in your segment. So this is a one way that you could reach your specific business customers through Facebook is to create a custom audience. And then Jake, if you could build the next one. And we use a tool, a third-party audience management tool that's based on the identity graph. So we use ZoomInfo. It used to be called Marketing OS. Now it's just called Marketing. And it's got a whole suite. It allows you to connect through LinkedIn, Facebook, Google Ads, as well as display, like Trade Desk and email. And the reason why we chose Zoom is we've been using Zoom since it acquired discover.org, and just the quality of the data is from our perspective great. And other third-party audience management platforms, we find the data quality may not be there. And in an activity like this, data quality is important. And you guys might be realizing that actually the data portion of it is maybe more involved than what you're used to. And it's becoming more involved, over time, being able to, pull the right people in the right roles in the right accounts, segment them, score them based on their engagement. It's actually a lot of really great opportunity for you and for us with our campaigns, but it does take a skill and it takes time. So the next thing that I'll talk to you about is, I don't have a graph for it, but I'll talk to you about the approach. So you might be thinking, okay, this is interesting, but I don't have, marketing, and I don't, not, from ZoomInfo, and I'm not using 6sense, and I don't want to invest in Demandbase, and I don't use 5x5. So, or any of the others, that might be out there. So, how do I do this? There's a couple ways. So obviously you could work with us. We use these tools and we can give you access to them and, build your campaigns, for a fee, right? but maybe you don't want to do that. Another way you can do it is if you are currently advertising in a platform like LinkedIn and you are using email and that's working for you. Well, all you've got to do is you create your company page on Facebook. You can share all the same content that you produce for LinkedIn onto Facebook. So you have an active company page. You can create an ad account on Facebook, and then you use your Facebook pixel to create a custom audience, which again, this custom audience is, people who visited you on your website. And then you can retarget to those people on Facebook. Now, it doesn't solve the challenge of how do I reach more people, but it will solve the challenge of how can I get more for my ad dollars. So you can build, your audience that way, and it would be a retargeting audience. And in general, retargeting audience have a higher conversion profile. And so you might find that, you drive ads through email, or you drive engagements through LinkedIn and email and possibly other channels. And then you use Facebook as your retargeting platform, and as well as Facebook's audience network, which is, extends your ads into mobile applications. And then you can use that to lower the cost of retargeting and get more yield, because more people will see your ads for your budget, and they'll see your ads in more places and be more likely to convert. And remember, they've already visited your website or your campaign landing pages, or interacted with your systems, and that's why they're in your retargeting audience. So those are the two ways you can do a list match. Either just directly uploading it. You can use a platform like marketing from ZoomInfo, or related, or you can simply use Facebook for your retargeting platform, and use that to expand the reach of your budget and to get more yield. Obviously, on the retargeting side, it might take some time. It depends on how much traffic you get to your website. If it's low, then it might take a little while for you to build up a big enough retargeting audience to, really make it meaningful to you. But as all things, it just is a matter of time. And with some patience, you'll really be able to get the yield that you're looking for. So there you go. That's how you can find your future business customers on Facebook.
Thank you.